There was a time when I looked in the mirror and couldn't recognize the person staring back at me. I had lost myself, not all at once, but slowly, piece by piece, in trying to please others, in chasing expectations, in carrying burdens that were never mine to hold. I dimmed my own light. I smiled when I wanted to cry. I said yes when my heart screamed no, and I moved through life like a shadow of who I once was. Losing yourself doesn't mean you disappear, it means you stop being aligned with your own truth. You become a version of yourself built out of survival, obligation, and silence. And when that happens, your dreams grow faint, your confidence slips away, and you forget that you were ever meant to shine. But here's the truth I learned. Losing yourself is not the end, it can be the beginning. Because in that hollow space, in that moment of questioning, you are offered the chance to rebuild. And that is exactly what I decided to do. I began finding my shine again, step by step. I started by listening to my own voice, the one I had silenced for too long. I chose honesty over approval. I let go of the weight of other people's opinions. I embraced my flaws, not as weaknesses, but as the fingerprints of my humanity. Finding my shine again didn't mean becoming perfect. It meant becoming real. It meant remembering the passions I buried, the laughter I muted, the courage I doubted. It meant reclaiming the pieces of me that I had abandoned in order to survive. Today, I stand here not as someone who has it all figured out, but as someone who is no longer afraid of being herself. My shine is not about being the brightest in the room. It is about being true, authentic, and unapologetic. So to anyone who feels lost, I want you to know this. You are not broken. You are simply in transition. You have not failed. You are being called to rise. The fact that you feel lost means you still care about finding your way, and that is powerful. I lost myself, yes, but now I am finding my shine again. And maybe, just maybe, you can too. Losing yourself happens gradually when people talk about losing themselves. It often sounds dramatic, as if one day you wake up and suddenly you are a stranger in your own skin. But the truth is, losing yourself rarely happens in a single moment. It happens slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, until one day you look in the mirror and realize the sparkle in your eyes has dimmed. It starts with small things. You say yes to something you don't want to do because you don't want to disappoint anyone. You silence your opinion in a conversation because you don't want to rock the boat. You hide your sadness behind a smile because you don't want people to think you're weak. And while each choice seems small, together they create a pattern, a life lived for others instead of yourself. That's the sneaky part about losing yourself. It feels like compromise, kindness, or survival, but over time it becomes self-abandonment, and it is not always obvious in the beginning. In fact, most of us don't even realize it's happening. We convince ourselves that we are being good, selfless, or responsible. We tell ourselves we're keeping the peace when really we're sacrificing our own. Think about it. When was the last time you asked yourself, what do I really want? Not what would make others happy, not what looks good from the outside, but what truly makes your heart feel alive. For many of us, that question is hard to answer, because somewhere along the way, we stopped asking it. Losing yourself can look like chasing a career you don't love just to meet society's expectations. It can look like staying in relationships where your needs don't matter because you're afraid of being alone. It can look like shrinking your voice, your style, your dreams, just so you can fit into a box you were never meant to be in. And before you know it, your true self is buried under layers of fear, approval, seeking, and exhaustion. But here's the thing. Realizing you've lost yourself is not a tragedy. It's an awakening. Because the moment you recognize it, you are given a choice. You can keep living a life that doesn't belong to you, or you can begin the journey of finding your way back home to yourself. Yes, it is painful to realize how far you've drifted, but it is also powerful, because you cannot heal what you don't acknowledge. Awareness is the first spark that can reignite your shine. So if you feel like you've lost yourself, know this. It didn't happen in one day, and you don't have to fix it in one day either. Just as you lost yourself gradually, you can rediscover yourself gradually, step by step, choice by choice. Say no when you mean no. Speak up when your truth is aching to be heard. Do one small thing every day that feels like you. One day, you will look back and see how those small acts of courage led you back to yourself. And when that day comes, you won't just find who you were. You'll discover an even stronger, wiser, more radiant version of you. Because losing yourself isn't the end, it's simply the beginning of your return. Losing yourself is not the end when we realize we've lost ourselves. It can feel devastating. The moment of recognition often comes with shame, guilt, or regret. We look back at all the choices we made, the opportunities we ignored, the times we stayed silent, and we wonder, how did I let this happen? The weight of that realization can feel crushing. But here is the truth you need to hold on to. Losing yourself is not the end. It is, in fact, the doorway to a new beginning. Think about a seed. When you place a seed into the soil, it disappears. It gets buried, hidden, covered in darkness. If you didn't know better, you might think that seed was lost forever. But what is actually happening? In that darkness, something is awakening. Something is transforming. That seed is not lost. It is preparing to grow into something far greater. The same is true for us. Sometimes life buries us under expectations, responsibilities, heartbreak, and disappointment. We get lost in the darkness of it all, but that doesn't mean it's the end of our story. It might just mean that something new is about to bloom. The beauty of losing yourself is that it strips away everything that isn't truly yours. It shakes you awake. It forces you to stop living on autopilot and start asking deeper questions. Who am I? What do I really value? What kind of life do I want to create? These questions can feel uncomfortable, even terrifying, but they are the questions that lead to rebirth. Many people fear the feeling of being lost, but being lost also means you are no longer stuck on a path that doesn't belong to you. It means you are searching, and searching is powerful because it means you haven't given up. The most important journeys in life often begin with a single moment of feeling lost. Let me remind you, some of the most beautiful stories are written from places of loss. The person who lost their way but found their voice. The person who lost their confidence but found their courage. The person who lost their spark but discovered a fire they didn't know they had. Your story, too, can be one of transformation. So, instead of asking, why did I lose myself? Try asking, what can I learn from this? What is life trying to teach me in this season? When you shift your perspective, you stop seeing yourself as broken and start seeing yourself as becoming. You stop treating the lost parts of your life as wasted, and instead view them as the soil from which your new self can grow. Remember, the end of who you thought you were can be the beginning of who you were always meant to be. So if you feel lost right now, don't despair. Don't believe the lie that this is the end. See it for what it really is. An invitation to rise, to rebuild, and to rediscover your shine. Yes, you lost yourself. But sometimes you have to lose the old self to make space for the truest version of you. This isn't the end of your story. It's the turning point. Reclaiming your shine requires listening to your inner voice when we lose ourselves. It's often because we stop listening to the most important voice we have, our own. Somewhere along the way, the noise of the world grows louder than the whispers of our heart. We tune into the opinions, demands, and expectations of others, and we silence the one voice that truly knows what we need. But if we are ever going to find our shine again, we must return to that voice. We must learn to listen, not casually, not occasionally, but deeply and consistently. Your inner voice is not loud, it doesn't shout. It speaks in gentle nudges, quiet instincts, sudden sparks of inspiration. It's that feeling in your gut when something doesn't feel right. It's the warmth in your chest when you think about a dream that excites you. It's the discomfort you feel when you know you've said yes to something you should have said no to. The world will call it intuition. I call it your compass back to yourself. The problem is, most of us stop trusting that compass. We second guess it, we override it, we explain it away, and slowly our light grows dimmer because we are living a life that doesn't align with who we are. But here's the truth. You cannot shine if you are dimming your own voice. Reclaiming your shine is not about impressing the world. It's about aligning with your soul. And alignment comes from listening to yourself, even when your truth isn't convenient, even when it isn't popular, even when it scares you. Think about how children live. They laugh when they're happy. They cry when they're sad. They run when they're excited. They rest when they're tired. They listen to themselves without hesitation. But as we grow older, society teaches us to hide our feelings, to mask our truth, to prioritize what others expect over what we need. That's how we lose our voice. To reclaim your shine, you must become childlike again in the best way. Brave enough to be honest, free enough to feel, and bold enough to choose yourself. Listening to your inner voice doesn't mean shutting the world out. It means using discernment. It means asking yourself, does this feel right for me? Does this decision honor who I am? Does this bring me peace, or does it drain me? And when the answer goes against the grain, you choose courage over comfort. Every time you honor your inner voice, your shine grows brighter. When you say no to something that doesn't align, you reclaim your energy. When you speak your truth, you reclaim your power. When you follow that quiet dream that excites you, you reclaim your joy. Of course, it's not always easy. People may not understand. They may criticize or resist. But remember this, your inner voice was not given to them. It was given to you. They don't have to understand it. They don't have to approve of it. The only person who needs to honor it is you. Your shine is not something the world can give you. It comes from within. And the more you listen to that voice, the more unshakable, authentic, and radiant your shine becomes. So I ask you today, what is your inner voice whispering to you right now? Maybe it's telling you to leave behind what no longer serves you. Maybe it's nudging you to finally start that dream you've been putting off. Maybe it's asking you to rest, to heal, or to believe in yourself again. Whatever it is, listen, because in listening, you will not only find yourself, you will find your shine. Authenticity is greater than perfection. One of the biggest reasons many of us lose our shine is because we spend so much of our lives chasing perfection. We want to say the right things, look the right way, make the right choices, and appear as if we've got everything together. We polish ourselves so much that we become unrecognizable, not because we've become better, but because we've become less real. But here's the truth, perfection is a cage. It looks shiny on the outside, but it keeps you trapped, suffocating, unable to breathe. And no one can truly shine from inside a cage. Authenticity, on the other hand, is freedom. It's messy, it's raw, it's imperfect, but it's real, and real will always shine brighter than perfect. Think about it. Who inspires you more, the person who pretends to have it all figured out, never admitting a flaw, never showing a crack, or the person who stands in their truth, openly sharing their struggles, their lessons, and their growth? Perfection distances us from others, but authenticity connects us. When you try to be perfect, you're constantly performing. You're constantly editing yourself, hiding your flaws, biting back your truth. You're exhausted from carrying the weight of an image that was never yours to hold. And in that exhaustion, your light dims. But when you dare to be authentic, you step into your power. You say, "This is who I am, unpolished, unfinished, and still worthy." That is when your shine begins to glow again. Authenticity doesn't mean shouting every detail of your life to the world. It means being aligned with yourself. What you say matches what you feel. What you choose matches what you value. And who you are in public matches who you are in private. Authenticity is when your soul no longer has to wear a mask. The world teaches us to hide our cracks, but I want to remind you of something beautiful. Light shines through cracks. The very places you think disqualify you, the mistakes, the heartbreaks, the failures, can actually become the places where your greatest shine radiates from. People don't connect with your perfection, they connect with your humanity. When you let go of perfection, you give yourself permission to be seen as you are. And when you are seen as you are, you not only find freedom, you also give others permission to do the same. Your authenticity becomes an invitation. It tells people it's safe to be real here, it's safe to be imperfect, it's safe to be human. That's why authenticity is greater than perfection. It creates a ripple of healing, not just for you, but for everyone around you. So if you are trying to reclaim your shine, stop polishing yourself into invisibility. Stop dimming your truth to appear flawless. Shine through your flaws, because that's where your light becomes real. Perfection says, I have to prove myself. Authenticity says, I already am enough. Perfection is about being admired. Authenticity is about being loved. Perfection is heavy. It weighs you down. Authenticity is light. It sets you free. And here's the most powerful part. When you choose authenticity, your shine becomes unshakable. Why? Because no one can take away what is real. A perfect image can be shattered. A mask can slip. But authenticity, that stays, that lasts, that shines no matter what. So don't strive to be perfect. Strive to be authentic, because your shine isn't found in flawlessness. It's found in the fearless act of being yourself. Feeling lost is proof you still care about finding your way when you find yourself lost. It's tempting to believe that something is wrong with you, that you've failed, fallen behind, or somehow missed your chance at living the life you wanted. But let me remind you of something powerful. The very fact that you feel lost is proof that you haven't given up. It means there is still a fire inside you, still a compass within you, still a part of you that longs for alignment. Think about it. If you truly didn't care, you wouldn't feel lost. You would feel numb. You wouldn't notice the gap between who you are and who you want to be. You wouldn't ache for meaning, fulfillment, or truth. The ache itself is evidence that your soul is still alive, still searching, still reaching for the light. Feeling lost is not weakness, it's awareness. It's your inner self tapping you on the shoulder saying, this isn't who we are. This isn't where we're meant to stay. Let's find our way home. And yes, being lost can be uncomfortable. It can feel like walking through fog with no clear path ahead. But isn't there also a kind of beauty in that? Because when you are lost, you are no longer confined to the path you thought you had to take. You are free to explore, to choose differently, to rewrite your story. Being lost means you are in motion, not stuck. It means you are searching, not settling. Let me ask you this. How many of the world's greatest journeys began with someone feeling lost? The artist who didn't fit into society's mold, so they created something entirely new. The leader who questioned the rules everyone else blindly followed, and in doing so transformed history. The ordinary person who looked at their life and said, there has to be more than this. Every breakthrough begins with a sense of being lost. So instead of fearing it, embrace it. Let the feeling of being lost become your teacher. Ask yourself, what is this discomfort trying to show me? What areas of my life feel misaligned? What dreams have I buried that are trying to rise again? If you lean into the questions, the answers will come, not all at once, but in pieces, guiding you step by step. Here's the most beautiful part. When you find your way after being lost, you shine differently. Your light is no longer naive, it's deep, seasoned, and resilient. You shine not because life has been easy, but because you've walked through the darkness and learned how to glow anyway. That kind of shine can never be taken from you. So if you feel lost today, let me tell you, you are exactly where you need to be. You are in the in-between, the sacred space where the old self is fading and the new self is emerging. Don't rush the process. Trust it, because one day you will look back and realize that being lost was the very thing that helped you find yourself again. Feeling lost is not the end, it's the sign of a new beginning. It's proof that you still care, proof that you are still searching, proof that your story is far from over. And when you keep walking, keep listening, keep trusting, you won't just find your way, you will find your shine. Life has a way of pulling us away from ourselves. Slowly, silently, we lose our spark, our confidence, our joy. But what we sometimes forget is that being lost is not the end of the road. It is an invitation to begin again. I lost myself. Piece by piece, I drifted away from the person I once knew. But in that loss, I discovered something profound. You can always find your way back. You can rebuild, you can rise, and you can shine again, brighter than before. The journey isn't about perfection. It's about authenticity. It's about listening to the voice within, honoring your truth, and choosing yourself even when the world doesn't understand. It's about realizing that your cracks are not flaws to hide, but openings where your light can break through. So if you feel lost today, don't see it as failure. See it as possibility. You are in the sacred space between who you were and who you are becoming. Trust that. Embrace that. Because the fact that you feel lost means you still care about living fully, and that alone is a sign of your strength. I lost myself, yes, but I am finding my shine again, and so can you. Your light is still within you, waiting to be uncovered. Don't be afraid of the darkness. Step into it, listen to your soul, and let your shine return. Because the world doesn't need your perfection. It needs your light, so rise, reclaim yourself, and shine again.